Hello again, it's Peter and I'm here to talk about estrogen blocker implants. I got the implant Vantis Histoline Accentate, and it's about as big as this little jar. I got to keep the jar. Pretty cool. The implant itself costs a lot of money, like over $3,000. So if you're thinking about getting the implant, definitely talk to your insurance because they covered a lot of it. And here in Seattle, there's a Trans Protection Act which actually paid for a lot of the implant, and we only had to pay around $300 for it, including the actual doctor's appointment. So talk to your insurance because this little bugger's really expensive and you do not want to pay that much for it. Also, talk to your doctor, make sure that you know everything that's going to happen. I went in for an appointment just to talk about it, and it ended up being a lot of information. I had a lot to think about, and it was a really hard couple of days for me just because there was so much that was going to happen, and especially me, who has a fear of needles and surgery. It was a lot, so make sure that you're ready for it and you know what's exactly going to happen. So after a couple of weeks of me thinking about it and really deciding if I wanted to do this or not, we decided to kind of lay out the pros and cons of it. Now, what my estrogen blocker implant will do is, since I am not quite 3 years after I started my period, I'm still growing. If I had waited another 6 months, I would have been done growing into a female shape and it would have been too late to put the implant in. And what the implant does is it releases a hormone that makes your ovaries stop producing as much estrogen. What that means is your body will stop growing into that female shape and your periods will end and your body will just kind of come to a halt. Nothing exactly huge going to happen. You're not going to go back to prepubescent stage, you're not going to shrink, but that's kind of what your hormones are doing. You're going back to a place before your female body started growing. And that's what we needed, because once you add testosterone on top of that, then your body knows to start growing in a male pattern. So this is a lot to think about because I hate surgery. It freaked me out. I didn't like it, but we ended up deciding to go for it. The actual doctor's appointment, what they did was they put 3 injections of a numbing fluid, which actually numbed my arm in about 30 seconds. And I wish I could have looked at it, but it freaked me out, so I didn't actually watch. The type of implant that I got, he just made a little slit right here and just attached the little tube of plastic blocker into like this little gun thing and just kind of shot it up into my arm. He wrapped it up in gauze and the whole appointment was done in like 20 minutes. I didn't get any stitches, but I did have to keep the bandage on for a week, and it itched really badly and it did bleed through a little bit. Talk to your doctor about that. And the type of implant that I got, it did bleed for a little while, but it wasn't bad. And now there's a scab. I've had this implant for almost 3 weeks now, and there's still a little slit right there, and the doctor said that there's a possibility that there's going to be a scar. But I don't really care because now my ovaries have stopped producing estrogen, and it's quite amazing. I myself had an allergic reaction to latex band-aids, so make sure you're not allergic to latex. So this blocker is going to work for about 3 years, meaning that my ovaries will stop producing estrogen for 3 years. Now by the span of 3 years, my ovaries will start producing estrogen again unless I get another blocker. But if I start testosterone before then my body will kind of get used to having more testosterone than estrogen, and after 3 years, my estrogen won't come back full force as if I didn't get testosterone. I'm not on testosterone yet, but when I do start, it's going to kind of overwrite the estrogen. There's going to be way more testosterone than estrogen, and it's going to be weird for a little while, but you won't need to get another implant unless you really want to. And this thing can stay in your arm like forever, until the day you die. Even if it isn't working, it doesn't matter. It won't do anything bad. It's just kind of under the skin. If you feel around in there, you can feel it. It's like a little gummy worm under your skin. It doesn't hurt. You can't see it. It's just kind of there. Freaks me out. I don't like touching it. It's just weird. It's a thing under my arm. Not a huge fan of that. But my ovaries have stopped producing estrogen, so I'm okay. So, again, what I got was called Vantis. Tiny little thing. It's really small. It's a plastic tube about this big, this wide. It just kind of sits in your arm. doesn't really, you can't feel it, it doesn't do a lot, it just makes your ovaries stop producing estrogen. Talk to your doctor before getting Vantis and make sure that you have a pros and cons list because it's a huge decision. Alright, good luck implanting. Peace out.